seemed like he was something, but I'm like, it's like, it worked.
Is that good?
I'd like him to Formula One, but it does.
All things being equal, you aim that well, you're going to probably hit the cup at 15 feet, you might at 16 feet, right? So that's the worst one you hit. So that's really, really good. If we look at your rate of rotation, super consistent. You hit the ball in the middle of the putter almost every single time. Sometimes that can be these new shapes and the way the software reads it. I don't think you're 3 degrees from the inside. If it was, it would look kind of like that, and it doesn't. Right, that's quite aggressive. So, and the other part is as well, if I do see that, I'm always looking at what does the spin say. So if we're looking at side spin, like you are a little bit of a left spinner. So at that point, we want to know what the face is. So there was a couple that were going in the left edge. There was one that missed in the left. So from that standpoint, we kind of got to manage that relationship a little bit. What we want to always avoid in club fitting or anything is compound errors. If we've got a little bit of a left start line, you would rather favour a slight cut spin. So the biggest thing I would say if we were going to look at cut spin, I would be looking at where you're striking it, and I'd probably start liking you to favour a slight heel strike over a slight toe strike. Right, so that would counter the face at all times, and you would almost, with these numbers, you would almost never miss. Impact ratio is really, really important. These are really quite low. Do you struggle in slower greens, putt well in good greens? And that's a bit of an open-ended question to a good player, because most good players would say yes to that, but this would tell me you're not getting as much energy out of that putter as you should be getting. So I'd love to see your impact ratio on 1.72 to 1.75. That would probably match up to something more akin to what you think. Unless you're a really aggressive putter, then having a bit of a dead impact. It's like hitting a chip shot round the green and knowing that you can hit out the toe to dead in the smash factor. It's exactly the same thing. The launch is a little bit launchy, but I'm not sure if you're coming off playing some grainy greens and stuff like that. So So again, like these things are never bad. There's just context has to be added to them. So that's fine. You're not much of a shaft leaner. So generally speaking, with putters like that nowadays, it's very hard to talk in generalities. But when we would see a player with a plumber's neck, we would always see them about 2 degrees forward shaft lean and hitting it upward at 2 degrees. That's what would create the lift and friction to create the top spin. You do create a decent amount of top spin, but you do create a lot of lift. And that's on a fairly short putt. So that's only going to increase. The longer the putt, the more launch we're going to have. And every time so it's fine in a flat surface, but if we took a slope green and we just threw a ball onto slope green and it bounced off it, it's going to work off of the fall line very quickly. So we don't want to create energy with the balls bouncing off the fall line, because it'll be very hard to keep ourselves on that. So that's over time. When you come into practice in here, like that would be a metric. I'd be like, let's get closer to 2. 2 is enough to get the ball out of the depression that it sits in the green, but it's not enough that it's going to make it bounce its way down the green. So that's just a hair on the high side. Attack angle's good. No issues with that. Dynamic lie angles. It's not really there's. What would you say to Steve Stricker, who had the heel 6 inches or 6 degrees up in there? You wouldn't say a thing. So I don't think that's a big issue. So they measured that at 5 degrees aloft. So I don't think a lot of that's you. I think a lot of that's that. I don't know if it's whether it's talking to an Odyssey rep or we get some models in here. We start trying to get you closer to probably 3 degrees aloft, 3.5. Obviously less loft is going to play into the impact ratio as well. That will go slightly higher. So I always love when problems are tied together and we can fix 2 problems with one solution. That's what I would see. But other than that, the good stuff's really good, and this is the good stuff. This is what we want it to be. This is all the nice stuff, but this is the need to have a good face angle.
Well, that's interesting to see.
So it's all pretty solid. So if you hit a couple more, let's see if we can fix a bit of that one. Right, so let's see that. Yeah, just a little bit of that heel strike. Very interesting. So the first one was 900ths of a degree out the toe. That one was 800ths of a degree out the toe.
Oh, okay. So they're pretty middle.
So you kind of need to feel
Right.
that heel strike
Yeah.
is what you're trying to do, because that mitigates the,
Right.
the draw rotation.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Which makes sense. You know, we're not looking at a putter or our ball from a bird's eye view. We're looking at it from a diagonal view. So very much we project the centre putter into the toe. So slightly into the heel is what we actually need to do.
I think that was a big too.
Yeah. But now, so if we look at the margins, if we look at the spin axis, or they would call it side spin, we're seeing less and lower numbers.
Okay.
So if we can keep it into single digits, that putter is super stable.
Yeah.
Super stable. It's like a tank. Yeah. Were you trying to do anything with your stroke? Were you trying to be less into out?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I was just trying to cut it.
Yeah.
Just trying to cut it.
Your path went from being like, well, I kind of was saying it could be the quintic. Your path went to, show you in here. So basically went to that. So this is one of the ones I love to look at with players, right? So 12-foot putt, we've got about a degree open or closed for us to still hit the hole. So as long as the putter face is somewhere between that 1 degree open or closed, we're fine. This is 3 inches out from impact. Your face was 0.37 open. So you've got 4.5 inch window where you could have hit that ball.
Right.
That's how stable your club face is. That's the value of the rate of rotation being low. So players who kind of walk a really tight margin when it comes to putting have high rates of rotation. They're the streaky putters. The putters who putt excessively well week after week have exceptionally low rate of rotation. Danny Willett might be 4 degrees of rotation, so he putts great pretty much every week, guys like that. But I love to see a little bit of cut feel.
Yeah.
It says it's very good for you.
That is my pattern, like, a path push.
I love
A
that.
path draw. So
So doing the roll numbers, I was very focused on the delivery numbers. It does make the launch number go, or it keeps it up. But looking at that spin now, it's actually popping it into the red, whereas we had forward spin the first time around.
my delivery's still up on it.
Your angle attack is very consistent. Yeah, too. You're just delivering a little bit. So, if we think of the dynamics of, we've got a draw stroke and a fade stroke almost, right? We're going to deliver more loft as we get less into out. So that's keeping more dynamic loft, and therefore that's all that is. So again, more back to probably that 5 degree needs to go down to 3.
Okay.
And then, to be honest, all that right hand side of the page looks brilliant. It really does. Try to get something like that in your hands.
We'll probably leave it alone for at least now, just because playing up in China for the next
Exactly.
few events,
If you're
so-
putting the slower grainy greens,
Yeah.
you're gonna have to bang them anyway.
Yeah,
so you're
yeah.
gonna have no issue with that.
I
No
think
issue
maybe
with
once we head out to like Europe side,
100%.
that's definitely something I'll keep an eye out for.
Well, that might be what it was.
Megan, thank you.
Yeah, no worries.